Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Salty Locks. What's happening? What is up, everybody? Oh, man, what a week I had. I feel good. Worked out today. Did a little running in the morning. I like to run in the morning. If I don't work out early, I'm not working out. I'm just not going to work out. If I don't do it in the morning, I'm not going to do it. Got a little sun on my face. Don't know if you can tell. Little sun kill, boy, in the coronavirus. I'm trying to avoid coronavirus. So I'll be out in the sun running because the gyms are closed, so you can't go anywhere. So got a little workout today. Like I said, if I don't do it early, man, I'm not going to do it. Sometimes I try to skip it and go like, I'll just do it a little later. I keep pushing it off, end up not doing it. Are you feel like that? I'm the same way. Now that we get to know each other, what are you doing tomorrow night? All right, guys, we'll get going on this podcast. Last week I was talking about my cell phones, how I managed to lose 2 cell phones in 3 days. Apple is... So this week, I got a funny story about these guys right here. I am holding some Apple Airpods in my hand. Most of you guys know what these are, right? They're just some fancy Airpods that are overpriced, and you can get the Chinese version for about $15. Anyways, these are the Apple Airpods, and they're cool. You know, I wish they had a little longer battery life, but I got them because, you know, being on planes all the time, I like to have the noise canceling, and the noise canceling is really good on these. But who knows what kind of radiation it's doing to my brain. I'd imagine my brain is cooking from the Bluetooth signal and all the Wi-Fi stuff going around in my head. And who knows, maybe in 10 years we'll find out we all have crazy tumors. We don't know. We don't know what these do to our heads. So basically, man, this last week, I couldn't find my AirPods. And I'm like, they have a good little feature that you can go on and you can do find, like, you know, find my iPhone. You can do find my AirPods. It works the same. There's like some sort of tracking device on here. So I go, cool, man. I'll get to figure out where my AirPods are. So I go on my computer, I go to iCloud, and I go on, you know, find my AirPods. And dude, the address, it comes up. I'm like, holy shit, someone stole, you know, I must have dropped them out of my pocket or something, and somebody jacked them, and they took them to this address that it's showing up on my find my AirPods. There's a physical address in the hills in Beechwood Canyon right here. So I see the address. I'm like, oh my God, this son of a bitch. And like me, like a detective, because I hate if someone screws me over. I mean, I know everyone hates if they get screwed over, but I am sick with it. Like, I got to get my shit back. Like, I got to get it. If someone steals from me, I got to get it back, dude. I've got multiple stories about when, you know, things have been stolen and I've freaking found a way to get it back, dog. When I was a junior in high school, somebody stole an amp. I was really into car audio stuff. This kid, Mike, you son of a bitch, I'll bleep your name just because I don't want to put this on your track record. I don't know where you're at nowadays, but this motherfucker stole an amp from my car. You know, like a radio system. You have a subwoofer and you have an amp. And I had it I had a Ford Ranger, like a little shitty Ford Ranger single cab. And every like dollar I'd have that I'd make extra, I'd like put into like, you know, putting something into the audio equipment if I had extra money. And so I bought this amp. It was like $200 or something. And then I had a little subwoofer and it sounded really good. And this kid, I wake up in the morning one day and my truck had a little cab that opens up, right? You know, those little open, and you can easily pop it open with like a screwdriver or something. And sure enough, it was popped open and my amp was gone. And it was a morning after a horrible accident I got into that I broke my nose. I got arrested. This is a whole nother thing I'll tell in another podcast, so tune in for that. Because this is a long-ass story, dude, about me busting my nose and getting busted for selling nitrous oxide. You know, like the shit you use at the dentist? I used to sell that when I was a kid. I was a punk-ass kid, man. A little punk-ass kid, and I'd sell it at parties and balloons. Anyways, this one night, the morning when I woke up and my amp was gone, I was just got in a car wreck because of this whole thing. And my amp was gone. So I was like, what the fuck's going on, dude? I was so pissed off. I had a broken finger, broken nose. I go to school the following day, and I go, I'm going to get to the bottom of who stole this shit, dude. So I start asking around. I knew everybody. That was the one cool thing about my high school was I kicked it with all different groups. You know, I was friends with everybody, like cool kids, the jocks, the nerds, the band people. I'd, give them love. I didn't give a shit who you were. I'd hang out with you. So I had like different groups of friends everywhere. So I had, little informants, if you will. I worked that shit like the mob. I was like, hey man, something happened. I'm missing my amp. I don't want to hurt anybody, but people, so I was doing my little Don Cornelius. Dr. Cornelius. No, I was doing my little, Don Corleone shit, dude. I went around. I was like, hey, man, if you guys know what's up, I'm not saying anybody's guilty, but, if you guys heard anything. And eventually some kid came forward and was like, hey, man, Mike was talking about something like, he got this new amp or whatever. And I'm like, dude, it's got to be, what are the chances this guy bought an amp? And I remember I just showed him. He was with the friend, and I showed the friend, and he was with them. And I'm like, oh, this mother love. It was just an easy, solution. I was like, dude, it's got to be him. There was another time where my brother and we'd have these huge parties when my dad was out of town, right? We'd have these huge raging parties, dude. And my dad was always gone to, Vegas on these, trips, And my brother and I would throw these huge parties, and we'd charge at the door. We'd charge a cover. Have I talked about this on the podcast?
No.
So we would charge, a cover at the door. And we'd flyer to all the different high schools in our area, right? Like all these high schools would get the flyers because we knew all the kids that were the party kids in all these different schools. So we would flyer it out, dude, and we just get a mass in our backyard, man. I'm talking like a freaking packed party, right? And we charge $5 at the door or whatever. And then this is so fucked up, but we'd get a non-alcoholic keg. We get non-alcoholic kegs, maybe 2 of those, right? And we put them out because we don't want people getting fucked up in our backyard and messing shit up, because you don't want a bunch of drunk kids tearing shit up. When kids get wasted, what they they do dumb shit. So we're like, all right, we got a couple kegs of non-alcoholic beer. Then we get ourselves a keg for my brother and I and our friends, a bunch of our friends, maybe 15, 20 of our close friends. And we keep that keg in the house. That was the real keg, right? And what we would do is, this is so fucked up. We'd have the party, and for a good hour, the party would go on, right? And then when everybody came in and we collected all the cash at the door, this is how me and my brother made money. We'd call the cops. We'd call the cops ourselves. Bro, we'd call the cops ourselves on the party and be like, yo, we were having a little get together. And it got a little out of hand, so if you guys don't mind, could you guys come down and help us clear out there's a bunch of people we don't know here, which we weren't telling a lie. There was a bunch of people we didn't know there. And so what we'd do is we'd have the cops, and they'd come and help, and this is after we collected all the door money and shit. So me and my brother had a little pocket, of cash, and we'd have some big football players and shit at the door collecting the money. So we had to kick our homies some money. And then, me and my brother would split it. He'd take probably a bigger chunk. That son of a gun, But then I would get my cash, and then the cops would come gladly help us kick everyone out, And we're like, sorry, dude, we wanted to have the party, man. And then so then what we'd do is we'd keep our friends, our 15, 20 friends, close friends. We'd keep them in the house, and we'd be like, dude, we're gonna shut it down, and then we would do whatever we wanted, and we'd be inside drinking. And it was cool. And my dad would never know, dude, because the friends would stay and help us clean up, my dad would have no clue that we had this big party. Anyways, one of these parties, one night, we had, this was the after party, and we, let a few more people than we normally let into the house. And, I had my bedroom open, we have our rooms open. And my mom had just got me this cologne, this Tommy Hilfiger cologne, dude. And I really liked it. And it was a full bottle, and I had it just on my dresser or something, and then after the party, it was gone. It was freaking gone, dude. I'm like, what the fuck? And this is another one of those times. I'm like, dude, if you fuck me, I'm going to find out. I don't let it go. I'm just sick about it. I'm sick about getting back, dude. So I'm like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to investigate this to the full extent, So of course I go to school the next day. I'm asking around, hey man, just the people that I know. There's, maybe 30 people this time in our house. And I'm asking around, hey man, you know anything about, whatever? You didn't happen to grab a thing, asking some of the guys that I know. And then I'm like, oh dude, this kid Art. I'm not gonna say his last name, but this kid Art, He was a bigger football player, dude. I think a year or two older than me. But anyways, he played football and he was big, dude. And he was in our house too, I remember. And I'm like, oh my God. All right, maybe it was him, So I was having my buddy, this homie Kareem, this Lebanese kid. I was like, hey, dude, go up and see if these guys are wearing cologne. Yeah, dude, I swear to God, that's how I got to the bottom. Dude, I'm telling you, I'm sick, dude. I was like, yeah, go walk up, and then he's like, dude. He came back. He's like, man, Art has got cologne on, and I'm like, dude, ask him, what it is. Tell him that smells good. Ask him what it is, and he's like, oh man, hell yeah, dude, this is Tommy, man. He said the fuck, and I'm like, oh bitch, I caught him, motherfucker, I caught him, dude. So I had to get this fool Jimmy Loa, who was another fucking big. He was the same age, and I had to get him to go fucking get my shit back because I wasn't gonna go up, be like, hey man, give me my shit. And he was like a couple years older than me, And I was like, let me go talk to Jimmy about it. And Jimmy was the homie, and he went over, and Jimmy was a scary dude. And he went up and goes, hey man, and he got my shit back. He went to Art and he was like, hey, and Art came and apologized, bro. That shit was dope. He was like, man, I'm so sorry, dog. Like, I didn't know, man. I was tripping. I don't know what I was thinking. I was drunk. And it was cool. And I was like, damn. So I felt good, but I did get my cologne back. And that was another time. But let's go back to the amp. So the amp, jacked, bro. I find out it's this fool Mike. Not going to say his last name. And so I'm like, all right. And at this time, I was like kicking it with a couple guys that were like, sober guys, like they were already in AA and shit. And you had to be a fuck up if you're already in AA at that age. You know what I'm saying? And nothing against these guys, but we were like, some of us were a little messed up, And so I was with my homie Mike and this homie Richard called Dick. And we go, hey man, and they were like in on the speaker stuff with me because they were the first guys I called. I go, damn, dude, they stole my amp. And, we were really into that stuff. And so they're like, well, let's fucking figure this out, bro. And Mike, my homie Mike's like a jack dude, always wearing a wife beater type guy, pretty intimidating, if you didn't know him. And so anyways, we get in the car and we go to this fool Mike's house, right? I told him, like, let's go see what's up. So it's like me in the back, Mike in the front, and in the passenger seat. And we pull up to the house and we get out, we go to the door, dude, knock on the door, and Mike opens the door. The kid opens the door and he's in his socks. I won't forget it. And we just grabbed him. Bro, we grabbed him. We go, hey, you're coming with us. And we just grab his ass and we put him in the car, dude, in the back seat. And like Mike and Richard just shove him in the car. And he's like, what's going on? What the hell? But he knew exactly what was going on, dude. He knew exactly what was going on. We threw his ass in the car and now we start driving. I go, Mike. And I'm sitting there, I swear to God, like in the back. And I'm just like, Mike, you know why I'm here. I know you know why I'm here. He's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're. But I could tell he's got that little shake in his voice, that little bitch in the voice that you get. That little shaky voice. That's just God telling you you're going to be a little bitch. That one, I've joked about this on stage. That little voice you can't control. That voice starts kicking in, and I'm like, oh, bro, I got him. I know it's him. I know for a fact it's him, dude. I just showed my homie. He was with them, and all of a sudden somebody's talking about, oh, he's talking about some amp. He was trying to get rid of it. So this fool is sitting there going, no, I don't know. I'm like, dude, we know. And he keeps looking and we just keep driving, and he's like trying to deny it. He's trying to deny it. And I'm like, listen, bro, we're going to beat the shit out of you if you don't give me my amp back, dude. And it got to a point where he just cracked and he started crying. And he was like, dude, I have it. I gave it to Sean. And he like, so he sold it to another kid. He sold the amp to another kid who like then sold it somewhere else, right? And they like this
is a movie,
dude, bro. I mean, it's not a movie. It's just like some shit that you think is serious when you're in high school, Because dude, $200 for me was a lot of money. That's a lot of shifts at Baskin Robbins. And so, he starts breaking down and crying, and we're like, dude, he just started bawling, like he was like, take me home. I don't want to be out here. He's like, he thought we were gonna beat the shit out of him, and finally, he admitted to it. Then we go, all right, we're taking him home. And I go, hey, listen, Mike, if you don't have my amp or the money by tomorrow, we're going to beat the living shit out of you. Like, you're not going to, like, I feel sorry for you, dude. Like, I really feel sorry for you, man. Just have my amp or the money and we'll be cool, dog. So he's like, okay. And we drop his ass off. We throw him in the house and we leave. And next day I show up to school. And I'm in school and I'm in like first or second period. And all of a sudden I look at the door. There's this police officer, this dude, Officer King, one of those like motorcycle cops, dude. And I'm like, what the fuck? And he goes, and whispers in my teacher's ear or something. And he's like, and he walks over to me. I'm like, oh, fuck. And he goes, hey, man, you got to come with me. I'm like, all right, what's up? And he's like, hey, man, I'm Officer King. Do you know why I'm here? And I go, was it because of my? And he goes, yep. And I go, oh, shit, man. And he's like, hey, man, look. And he took me into a different classroom that was empty. And he goes, dude, this kid is so stupid. He told me, he goes, this kid's a moron. He's like, if I was you, he told me, he goes, if I was you, I want this kid's head to roll for sure. But buddy, you can't kidnap him. You can't kidnap this guy. You guys did some illegal shit. Like you took him against his will and kidnapped him and threatened his life. Like you can't just do that, bro. So like, listen, here's the deal. Mike called the police department, horrified, because you guys threatened his life and you kidnapped him yesterday. And he's like, dude, but he was cool. The cop was cool. He was like, dude, listen, I'm on your side, man. If this shit happened to me, I want this kid's head to roll, of course. Yeah. But like, you can't be kidnapping people and threatening their life. And I'm like, damn, okay. But the kid Mike was scared because he didn't have the money or the amp. He couldn't get it back, from the other guy that he sold it to. And so he thought he was going to come to school and get his ass kicked. And so I made a deal with the cop. I was like, hey man, look, he said, you can press charges if you want because this dumb kid admitted to me, the police officer, that he stole the amp. He admitted to me that he stole it. So you can press charges, but just know if you press charges for that, he can then counter with, whatever it is, kidnapping or taking them against the will and threatening the life, whatever, because like what we did was not cool. Pulling the kid out of his house, in his socks and shit. So I'm like, all right, it's all good. Like, no, talk to him. Just be like, yo, man, have my, we'll give him a couple days, but have my amp or give me the money because I don't play this shit, And he's like, all right, cool, no worries. And so he did. He went and he talked to Mike, and then Mike went through hell and high water to get the amp back. Like he went and had to buy the amp back for more money than he sold it for, and it went to Redlands, like some fucking meth head in Redlands probably bought the shit. And then he got the amp. So he finally got the amp. But then the amp came back and it had the serial number scratched out. And I was like, nah, I don't want that amp. I don't want to have a fucking serial number scratched out. If I get pulled over and they, look at the thing, I know that was never going to happen, but I just didn't want an amp with the fucking serial number scratched out. You wouldn't want that, would you? And I don't know what these fucking meth heads did to the amp. If it goes faulty, then I want to return it or something. It won't be able to be returned. The warranty's void once the serial number scratched out. Needless to say, I didn't accept the amp. I go, hey, man, this ain't it, bro. You got to get my money for the amp. And this amp costs $300. And hell yeah, upped it, dude, $100, bro. What do you think for my time and inconvenience? Am I a bad guy? Fuck that. If you think I'm a bad guy for upping it $100, you're an asshole. The guy stole my amp. So I go, yeah, this amp costs $300, bro. So have the $300 back, sell the amp, do what you got to do, but bring me $300. So anyways, long story short, I get this shit back, dude. So that's the story. He brought me the $300. We were cool, and that was it, and I haven't heard from him since. But anyways, I want to get back to this. This is how long it takes me to tell one story. I don't know how long we're into the podcast. I was just trying to tell you guys about these headphones, which the headphones, if you look at them, I'll do a little insert shot. My cousin got them for me. My cousin works for Apple, right? And like anytime I need to order something, I'll call him because he gets like a little bit of a discount. But he's like, he helped work on the iPhone. Really smart dude. My cousin Nima Parivar, really cool dude, and very smart guy. And so I hit him up and I'm like, dude, I wanted to get a few things. So I'm like, the discount will make sense on this little purchase. So I hit him up and I go, yeah, give me those AirPods. And he's like, cool. You get to write something on them. What do you want? I go, dude, you write whatever you want to write on them, like surprise me. And this fucking guy puts if found at Maz Jobrani. So if you don't know, Maz Jobrani is like the biggest Persian comedian, Iranian comedian. I used to tour with him for like 4 or 5 years. He's like my big bro. I love him to death. But like, and you know, my cousin obviously is Persian too. And he's like, as a fucking little dig, he goes, here, dude. And he gives me these, and I was cracking up. So I sent the picture to Maz. I go, look at this shit. If these ever get lost, they're going to come to you, dude. And now I have to fucking carry these shits around like an asshole because now my comedian friends think like me and Maz were on the road and I stole his fucking headphones. You know what I mean? So that's probably what it looks like to them. Anyway, these headphones, I think, have gone missing or been stolen because I can't find them anywhere in the house. And I keep them like right here on my desk, charged, or, you know, on my nightstand. Can't find them. So the Find Your AirPods says they're in the hills here, Beechwood Canyon. It gives me an address, dog. An address. It gives me an exact address. So I'm thinking this guy's plugged, you know, whoever stole them has plugged it in. Now it's hooked up to their internet and it's giving me like the exact correspondence. I think Apple's like, dude, really done a wonder here on tracking, right? This got to be exact. It's the exact address. It gave me like the number of the house that it was at. Not a ballpark. It wasn't like it may be in this vicinity. It was like, dude, they're here. So your boy, young, I won't let a Tommy Cologne get away. Young, I won't let an amp disappear. Amir K, your boy, goes to the address on my scooter, dude. Got a little scooter, bro. Don't get it twisted. I cruise up to Beechwood Canyon to the exact address. Get off my scooter, dude, like Dumb and Dumber. All right. I take my helmet off, put it in the trunk. I walk up to the door, bro. I go, let me get to the bottom. I'm ready, dude. I'm ready for action, dog. I'm like, let me get to the bottom of this shit. And I hear like family. They're playing in the backyard. I'm like, oh, this is weird. This fucking son of a bitch stole my headphones. Well, I want to give him a piece of my mind, man. Oh, having fun with your kids now, huh? You know, so I'm sitting there getting all ready for action. They have one of those ring things, right? And some lady, she gets on, she goes, hello? Can I help you? And I'm like, oh, yeah, you can help me? Yeah, I lost my headphones. Imagine how crazy this sounds. I go, yeah, I lost some headphones the other day. At first, actually, I'm not going to lie. I was trying to, you know, be like somewhat, you know, cordial with the whole thing. So I go like, you know, my headphones, I don't know. Yeah, I have this app on my headphones. It tells me where they are. And it says they're here. And she goes, what? This lady has no idea what the fuck I'm talking about, obviously, because they're not, no, you know. And she goes, excuse me? And I go, my headphones are at your house. And she goes, what? What do you, no, there's no headphones here. But the way she was doing it was almost making me feel like, oh no, they're there. Do you understand? Because I went to the door, to the ring, and I go, my headphones are here. And this lady is so confused. She goes, what? No, there's no headphones here. But she said it so fast that it made me feel like they are there. And she knows that they're there. So I'm like, no, are you sure? I go, no, it says they're here. It says this address. I said the address. It's not wrong. It's Apple. Apple says they're here. That's what I told her. Dude, I said Apple says they're here. What? What? And so she's like, no, I'm sorry. There's nothing. I would know if they were here. They're not here. And now what do? You know, I'm sitting there. I'm like, all right. Okay. And I just kind of like sit there for a second. And I'm like, well, all right. And I'm like, fuck it. You know, I'm like, okay, they're not going to give them up. What am I supposed to do? You know, so I just go there. But I'm like looking at my phone again on the app just to see if it changes like where it's at. You know, I look back on the Find My AirPods thing and I'm like, it's not changing. I'm sitting by my scooter. And like, I can imagine them, because I heard the guy, oh my God, while she's going, no, there's no headphones, I hear a guy go, lock the door. I heard a guy go, lock the door from the side. So like, they were kind of like, who is this guy? Because now I'm thinking in there, because to me, I'm like, oh, this is why I'm here. I see it in my, you know, in the app. I'm there for this reason. Imagine some weird guy looking like me on a scooter, and he's not delivering food, And he's going, you have my headphones. Bro. So I'm sitting by my scooter, and they keep playing the alarm through the ring. It's going, yeah, 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 yeah. And I'm like looking like, I ain't leaving. I thought they were doing it to like scare me to leave. So I'm sitting there looking at the thing, and they're going, meow, meow, meow. And I'm like, I ain't leaving. And they kept playing it. And then finally I'm just like, fuck it. I'm going to go. And I just left. And I chalked it up, dude. I was like, you know what? My headphones are gone. Whatever, dude. They stole them. They need them more than me. You know, was I burnt about it? For sure. Is it as big of a deal as when I was younger? No. But it still bothers me. So I'm like, all right, screw it. They're gone. You know, I'm not going to be able to get them back. And also in my head, I'm going, maybe the address could be 1 or 2 houses off. You know? And I'm not going to go through the whole neighborhood and be like, you guys have my headphones. Hey, you have my headphones. Imagine. Right? So I'm like, let's let it go. Let's get a new pair. You know, battery life wasn't good anyway. So whatever. I let it go. And like 3 or 4 days goes by. It's got a little cold out. So I grabbed one of my sweaters. Throw the sweater on. I'm like, what the fuck is this in the pocket? It's this. This is in the pocket at my house. My address. In my own home, this was. In my own closet, this was. It was in my own closet. Thanks, Apple. Almost got me murdered. Imagine if I showed up to the wrong house and I was like, yeah, my headphones. The guy goes, oh, do I? King, king, bonk. There's your headphones. Now you got another fucking 2 holes in your head to put some more fucking speakers in. You little goombong. You know what I mean? What am I doing? Going to these houses because of Apple. I could do a lawsuit for Apple, dude. Any lawyers out there? We got a case. I went to the house on a scooter. Could have been murdered. So that was that one, man. I found him. Oh, and I didn't tell you guys this. I call Moz. I call Moz. I go, yo, Prezzo. I call him Prezzo. I go, Prezzo, I lost those headphones. And he goes, what? He didn't remember. I sent him a picture of that. We had a laugh. But this was, you know, a few months back. He doesn't remember that I sent him a picture. I go, I lost these headphones, those AirPods. And he goes, what? And I go, you know, the AirPods. My cousin thought he was being funny. He said, you've lost at Maz Jobrani. So if you get a DM, those are my headphones. And now you guys are probably thinking, are you sick? What? It's headphones. Get new ones. I'm sick. That's the type of guy you're dealing with. All right? So there. I shared you guys that story. Apple's been hunging me over for like 2 weeks. And that's it, man. You got to be careful with your electronics. That app isn't accurate. Apple, fix it. You're going to get someone killed. Okay, guys. Now, I did this thing last week where I said I'm going to take some questions. Like I was going to do a little Insta story or something and ask for people to send some questions or topics they want to talk about. I did that today and got a bunch of people send some questions, which is really cool. Thank you guys for listening and participating in that. So here is some of the questions that came in. I'll just read a few. Let's look at a question here. Okay. Shouty. Let's see what Shouty says. Okay. Shouty's asking, what is your least favorite thing about Iranian culture? And what is your fave strain of weed? Love the podcast, by the way. Shouty, thank you, baby. And I almost want to show people that this is real. It sounds like I made that up. That was such a good question, Shouty. Thank you. Well, my favorite part of Persian culture, I would say, is the hospitality. The hospitality that Iranians show. Like, I don't care who you are. If you go into like a Persian person's household, they treat you like family. I love that. I also love the food. The food is the best, man. If you haven't tried Iranian food or Persian food, go try some. And go with somebody that knows what's up, because it's hard to navigate the menu. I've taken JR. He goes, what is this? You know, people think it's fucking Indiana Jones. You know, that scene where they're eating snakes and shit. It ain't that, dog. It's all good food. Kebabs are off the hook. The stews are amazing. You know, a lot of rice dishes. We got a lot of rice dishes, a lot of meats and stuff. But I dig it a lot, and I think you will too. Because every one of my friends that I've taken like goes on this, they like sneak the shit on the side now without me, you know? So I catch them going to these restaurants. What's that place again? Rafi's is bomb. Actually, JR and I went there yesterday.
Yeah.
Rafi's and picked up some food, man. Place is bomb. The things I don't like about the culture are this feeling of, you know, this extra ego-filled pride thing. You know what I mean? Where it's all about like what you have, or the, you know, the nice things you have, or the materialistic nature of some of the things about our culture. You know, like, oh, I got the best car, or I got the thing, and I fall into it. Like, don't get me wrong, like I enjoy these things too, and sometimes I'll like kind of judge somebody for doing that, and then I find myself doing some of the same things. So I don't know if it's just in our blood or something, but it is definitely like this weird sense of ego or pride that we have about, you know, either what we do, or, you know, like, my son's a lawyer, my son is a doctor, you know, my son is a doctor, he's a doctor, but is he a good person? Like, we don't ask that. It's just like that label of, you know, he's a lawyer or doctor is to impress somebody or something like that. Like that, I don't like, you know, that sense that we need to impress the people around us, you know, with whatever it is. And like I said, sometimes I find myself doing some of the shit myself. I'm like, oh, I wish I didn't do it like that, but I do. So that's one of the things I don't like. And the other thing of like, where, you know, like we should have shame about certain things is another thing that I hate. Like talking about, you know, personal things that aren't like, maybe that don't make you look good. You know, that's again the ego thing, you know, like talking about like we don't do therapy. That's one thing in the culture that, you know, we're like, therapy, what the fuck, are you sick? What's wrong with you? But like, you know, we won't take that when a lot of people could really use therapy, you know? So I think that kind of hinders our growth in a lot of ways, you know, not being open to that stuff. And I think that's one thing I don't like about the culture. And I've dealt with it in my career, you know, like not with the therapy stuff, but like, you know, I do my therapy on stage. Like I'll be talking, you know, about taboo things, you know, in the culture, you know, like talking about my family or problems that my family has or whatever. And a lot of times people will be like, oh, are you not, that's not that bad to talk about? I'm like, but that's my truth. That's like who I am. So if I want to hide it, then, you know, then I'm not doing what I want to do. I'm not expressing myself fully, you know, like make you think that my family's perfect or whatever. You know, everyone's got dysfunction in their family, and I don't mind admitting it and making light of it and making fun of it, because that's what I think is funny about and relatable, is that everybody's fucked up, not just us, you know? So that's why I talk about those things. And it's never malicious. Like I love my family, but yeah, we do have problems, you know? And that's one thing I would run into just in the career would be people coming up afterwards and be like, don't, that's bad that you talk about, or I cuss a lot, you know, and they say like, be tarbiat, like, don't, that's so, you know, shameful or rude to, you know, be talking or expressing yourself that way. Be tarbiat is a funny word. It means like without manners. Be means without, and then like tarbiat is like manners, I'd say. So it's funny, like we'll call something like be, and then the word, like be namak. That's another one. Be namak means without salt. So if a motherfucker ain't funny, you go, look at that be namak ass motherfucker. You know, like that means he's without salt. Like he's got no flavor. That's funny. I like that one. That's actually another thing I like, our little dumb expressions and shit. Be namak ass motherfucker. You little be namak. Hey, little motherfucking be namak ass motherfucker. So I like that, dude. Be namak. That's a good word. You gotta start calling your friends, like people that aren't funny and shit, or like trying to be funny and they're not. You go, be namak. Without flavor. Motherfucker ain't got no style, too. Shit. So that's it. Shouty, thanks for the question. And thank you for listening to the podcast, Shouty. I hope to see you at a live show soon when this shit opens up again. Let's do another question. I don't know if we have much more time, but we'll do another one. Let's see here. Do you have a girlfriend? This one okay. This one keeps coming up. Do you have a girlfriend? At the moment, I do not. And I think, you know, Jaron, actually, we were talking about this. It's like, you know, when you get a little older, it's tough, man. You know, like, yeah, sure, you want to have somebody, but it's like, who do you want to share your time with? Or, you know, who is worth your time, you know? So, you know, all my relationships haven't worked up until this point, right? None of ours have, if you're single. So you got to just take a little personal inventory and just look at and say like, okay, what are the things that I'm into? And I'd like the other person, whoever, you know, I decide to give my time to be into the same stuff, right? So, you know, I've tried, you know, relationships even very recently, and the shit, if it just doesn't mix well, it's just, what are you doing? I think compatibility has a lot to do with it. Wanting the same things, and that's it. Wanting to be around people that uplift each other, help each other grow, and not pull each other down. So that's the long version of how I'm single at the moment. It's a lot of work. Relationships are a lot of work. If you want to do it right. I mean, yeah, you could do a little piddly paddly. I'm in love. And, I've done that plenty of times or whatever. But yeah, at the moment and for a while, I've been single. So that's that question. All right, let's go one more maybe. Aaron is asking, got any crazy travel stories? Have you ever been out of the country? I mean, I've been out of the country quite a bit. And I think all those stories are crazy, because when we go touring and stuff, and in the last, I had crazy stories from before I was doing stand-up. But yeah, there was some pretty interesting times, man. Like, I've been to jail in Mexico with a couple homies when I was a teenager on some spring break trip, So yeah, I've had many crazy stories, and I will definitely expand on those in the other podcasts. But I just wanted to get some topics. And Aaron, stay tuned, because I'm going to talk about this. I'll make a note of it to talk about, like, this maybe Mexico trip that I went to jail with a couple of my friends, because it is a doozy of a story. But yeah, that's it. I've traveled a bunch of places, and, stand up, one of the greatest things about it, and what I love about the job is that you're always on the go and you're always going somewhere different, whether it's like Canada or to the Middle East or, Europe. I've gotten to go to all those places based off of talking shit through a mic, and that's just a really cool thing. Once you find something that you really love to do and it takes you to the places that you always wanted to go, that's kind of dope, I think. So stay tuned, Aaron. I'll answer that question in another podcast. Thank you for listening. And I think that's it. We'll wrap it up with that. Guys, thank you for tuning into the podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you do, please subscribe and share it with your friends. Tell your friends to tune in, man, because we're going to keep doing things and keep adding little segments as we grow. And I'm trying to just find, how I want to do this. But I like this. I like the question thing. So if you guys want, you can DM me if it's an interesting topic or question. I will definitely talk about it next time. So thanks again, guys. Stay safe and healthy. I'll see you next time.